Don't go away after I show you what I'm doing in my garden this weekend. I'm going to show you some snippets of a tour of Pickety Place from last year's video. It's the inspiration for some of my gardens, and it was also the inspiration for the drawings in Little Red Riding Hood. Hello, kindred spirits. It was a cold spring morning when I started to film this, but I thought I would show you and share that I'm working on my garden out back, and last year I started to make plans for this and I never put down the pea stone. But if you saw this video, and it is, I'll link it above and below, I was sketching out the garden area that was previously put in by the owners before us. And I wanted to create my own garden, but I just didn't know where to start. So I thought I would sketch this out, add some plants that I have, add plants that I want to add into this sketch. And I also knew after 2 years of keeping up with weeds, I wanted to put down some pea stone around the edge versus bark mulch because I like the look myself. So I asked my husband to go with me to a local landscaping company, and we picked up 30 bags of pea stone. And when I say we, I really mean my husband literally picked up 30 bags of pea stone. But while he was doing that, I had the garden getting prepped. I was scraping up all the walkways, removing weeds, and getting it ready to put down my weed block. Now, I could have done newspaper or paper bags or screening, but I wanted to do the weed block not just because of weeds, but we have chipmunks that come up through the paths and then go all through the gardens, and their tunneling is also killing the plants. So I did put down weed block. My concern is maybe in the future heavy rains, it will move the pea stone around. So my goal is to do very thick layers. Now, thick layers also means a lot of bags of pea stone. So I quickly went through the 30 bags, and I'd like to know who would like to tell Ben we need to go back for at least 30 more. I'll do it if you don't want to do it, but we do have to go back. So I'm just now showing you how I put this down here. Like I said, I'm doing it in a nice thick layer. I will also be going out to the granite stones where Willow is playing with her ball, but right now I'm focusing on the inside area of the garden. Now, some of you may be asking yourself or thinking out loud, why don't I just get a large delivery of stone in one pile? Couple reasons. One, we just had the large stones laid out on our driveway, and even if we put a tarp out and have a dumping of stone, it does intermingle. It happened with our bark mulch delivery, and I also thought with these bags I could work at it with my leisure, move them around. I didn't have to use a wheelbarrow to go back and forth. So for me, this particular project, using the bags was the way to go, even though it was a little bit more per yard when you think about it. But, you know, it's working out for me. So like I said, I'm going to be doing the stones on the outside of the fence as well, up to the cobblestones. But I really like how it's coming out. And once this gets wet, it's going to clear off all of that dusty look, and the stones will really show their color. Knowing I need more stone, I decided just to block off the inner paths. I put down the stone that I had because if it's a different color for any reason, then I can just do the inner boxes. But for now, I'm done. We're going to enjoy the night. Ben is actually taking me out for a cocktail after he lets Willow run around and get some energy out. And the next morning, I'm going to start on this again. It's mornings like this that are just such a treat to get up early when the sun's just coming over the hill and the sunshine's hitting things, and I am ready to go. So I am bundled up here. Not only do I have a shirt, I have a sweater, I have my coat, and very quickly I was able to take off the layers. Right now I'm just fixing the pots that are out front. They tipped a little bit. I still have to work on that. But I'm going to go back in and prep another area that I need to put stones down. So I've got 10 bags left there. My goal is to get those down today, and then in a few days we're going to go back out and get more stone. But Ben's golfing. I think he earned it. He's been helping me here a lot. So I'm going to put this project on hold for a couple days. It's driving me crazy having to do that. But Rome was not built in a day, and neither is this garden. And actually, gardening takes a long time. And each year it's growing and morphing into its own look and things that I like to grow, which I very much enjoy. So I'm going to show you something else here I'm going to be working on in this garden. And then I thought I would just keep coming back to this garden area and show you how it's growing and how it's coming along. So here it is. I have all the bags that I had spread out. I went down the center and down the sides as much as possible. Like I said earlier, my goal is to do the outer edges. I might even leave the inside boxes partially open so I could do some more planting. Now this I have to tackle. Last year I already cleaned up these stones and pushed them back. This just proves that earth is always moving. It pushed the stones forward. And now I have to clean out between all of these stones, do some weed killer with vinegar, and then I'm going to fill those cracks with stone dust to try to keep it looking nice and neat. Well, here's a quick garden update that I wanted to add in since Ben came home from golfing and said, let's go get more stone. Well, we did. We cleared them out. There were only 19 bags left. So I did go around and put down the rest of the weed block and put down the stones. I'm still shy at least 20 bags. So we're going to ask the company to order us some more. And while we were there, I picked up some of the paver sand, the gray sand that I'm going to be using in between these stones once I clear it all up. But it's looking a lot better. And even though this took time, it's going to save me so much time for the next few months of summer into fall for the gardening season, I hope. I'm sure it's going to be a lot less weeding. I'm going to be doing around the outside edge here, but I did the front edge. I decided to focus on that. And then I left inside the other boxes still needing stone. This particular one I'm showing here, I didn't put any weed block yet because I'm going to be potting up those flowers to give as gifts. And then, like I said, I went down and I at least got it prepped and ready so when the stones come in, I can just lay them down. But I did, end up weeding that whole area. So it's getting there and I'm pleased with how it looks. My day is done in the garden for tonight, so I'm just going to close the gate here. I need to work on these doors too. They're makeshift, but I have to get something different to hold them closed because we do have deer, and I just don't want a deer to go in here and start eating. We already have issues with the rabbit. One baby rabbit flew the coop the other day when I was out there working. There could be one left. I just didn't want to look, so I also had to keep Willow away from one of those raised beds because that's where the bunny is, or was. And I didn't forget about the blue and purple flower video that I'm putting together. It's just taking me so long to look up plants and their names of what I have here in the garden and going back to old videos. But it's coming, I promise. It's almost done. Since 1786, this quaint little red cottage has graced the hills of southern New Hampshire, seemingly untouched by time. The enchanting cottage was chosen by Elizabeth Orton Jones as the model for her illustrations in Little Red Riding Hood from the Golden Book's 1948. Today, it is a mecca for gardeners, foodies, and anyone looking for inspiration and relaxation. And for me, that's exactly what it did. The day I was here, walking the gardens with Ben, I had so many dreams and thoughts of things I wanted to do in my own home. And to see these gardens just alive with so many different plants that actually, there were so many plants it kept the weeds out, I realized that I do want to keep adding more and more flowers as the years go on. I'm determined to get back to see this herb garden in full bloom. I absolutely loved the setup of that. Some of you may have seen me cleaning out the old chicken coop on our property and making it a drying shed. Well, this is why I did that. This was my inspiration, and I just thought this was so sweet. Of course, mine was very different, but it was just seeing this that gave me the idea of turning an old little shed into something new, and I used it all last year drying my lemon verbena, my sage, my thyme. So it was a really fun project to do, and I will link that below and above here. Now in my home, I remove climbing ivy because it's going up under the clapboards and lifting them off, but it just looks so charming and whimsical here that I can see why they left it. One of my recent visits to a local nursery, I picked up some peach-colored poppies because of what I saw at Pickety Place. I fell in love with this color, and I've had poppies at almost every house I've owned, but they were the orange. To see them in the peach was just something special to me, so I was so glad to find them recently. I could pull up a chair and sit and watch these bumblebees for hours. It was so relaxing, and they were obviously very happy. I'm going to admit out loud how happy I was to see the fairies on the tree. I have fairies all over my house hidden. For meals, I believe it is still reservation only. It's the way they run their business. And we did have a reservation for lunch, and it was amazing. It was so good. They use a lot of garden items for their meals. And it's also the first time I was inspired by having an infused lavender lemonade. I quickly went home and I made my own by making lavender infused sugar, which I will also link that below and above. And for dessert, edible pansy, mint, raspberries, and blueberries from the garden adorn this delicious chocolate dessert. I won't lie, this story used to scare me when I was a little girl, but yet I want it to be read to me over and over and over. I hope you enjoyed today's video. All my videos are things that I know that I'm sharing or that I'm learning as I go, and I hope to inspire you to also find your own version of fine living, no matter how simple or grand that may be, no matter where you live.